Welcome to today's Explainer. I am so excited you're here because today we've got an absolutely fantastic vocabulary word to unpack. We're going to look at exactly where it comes from, how it operates out there in the real world, and how you can seamlessly drop it into your everyday communication. Let's get right into it.
So, to kick things off, I want you to visualize something incredibly specific. Have you ever seen a canyon wall with stripes? You know those majestic, ancient rock faces where you can clearly see those distinct bands of different colored rock, like red, ochre, brown, all stacked perfectly, one right on top of the other? It literally looks exactly like a giant geological layer cake. That vivid sensory image of stacked bands, that is the absolute perfect mental picture you need to hold on to for today. Keep that layer cake right there in your mind's eye.
Because that brings us to our word of the day, stratify. Say it out loud with me. Stratify. Notice those three distinct syllables, with that final part rhyming with pi. It's a verb. It's an active, doing word. And the action? Well, it means to arrange or form into layers, which are called strata. So every single time you hear the word stratify, I want you to think of that action of stacking those layers in our canyon wall.
Okay, let's dive into this. Part 1. The sunflower structure. From literal to figurative.
You know, when we look at vocabulary, some words have what we call a sunflower structure. They have this really solid physical core right at the center, and then meanings that radiate outward into broader, more abstract ideas. Let's start with our physical center, physical layers. This is the canyon wall, the bands of rock that have literally stratified over thousands of years. It's a physical reality you can actually touch. But moving outward to the figurative petals of our sunflower, we have sociable layers. The exact same image applies to human beings. To stratify a society is to divide it into layers, or classes, ranked above and below one another. It's like an invisible canyon wall, splitting society into these ranked groups. Whether you're talking about geology or human society, that visual of the stacked layers runs consistently through both the literal and the figurative.
Moving on to Part 2. Stratify in action. 3 real-world contexts.
Now we're going to look at 3 distinct examples to prove just how versatile this action word really is. Here's the first one. We can see how the rock has stratified over many years. This perfectly anchors the literal, geological use of the word firmly in our minds. When you use the word this way, you're describing a process of nature. The earth itself is performing the action of stratifying, pressing dirt and minerals over time until they form those distinct, easily readable bands of strata.
And this brilliantly illustrates our second context, which is historical. The rise of the merchant class further stratified European society. Here, the word acts as a totally neutral descriptor for a historical shift. We aren't making a value judgment here at all. We're simply observing that an economic event, the rise of merchants, divided society into new, ranked layers. The society was formed into figurative strata, with different groups stacked above or below one another based entirely on this new economic reality.
Let's look at our third context, which brings the word into the realm of education and research. The study stratified the students into separate skill groups. In this case, researchers or educators are the ones actively doing the stratifying. They're taking a large group and arranging them into layers based on abstract metrics, which in this case is their skills. Just like the bands of rock in our canyon wall, the students are sorted into distinct, separate levels.
All right, Part 3, Word Detective, the Stratify family.
One of the absolute best ways to truly master a word is to meet its morphological family. Now, what's really interesting here is how tightly knit this entire word family is. We start with our word of the day, stratify, the verb representing the action of layering. Then we have the related noun, stratification. This is the state or the process of being layered. And finally, strata, which is a noun representing the actual layers themselves. So, you stratify something, which results in stratification, leaving you with visible or invisible strata. They're all built around that identical core concept of the layer cake.
So here is the absolutely crucial point. When we take this geological word and apply it to people, it behaves in a very specific way. Used to describe people or groups, the word stratify strongly and neutrally signals an unequal split. It organizes human beings into ranked groups. It completely maintains that core visual of a layer cake where one group is inherently positioned above or below another. It's a powerful, highly visual way to describe hierarchy and division without actually taking a side.
Which brings us to our final thought. Now that you hold this highly visual, active word in your vocabulary toolkit, how are you going to use stratify today?
Will you use it to describe the physical layers of the Earth, the temperature bands in the ocean, or the complex invisible hierarchies within groups of people? I challenge you to look at the world around you today and see where you can spot those distinct bands. Once you understand the action of stratifying, you're going to begin to notice invisible strata absolutely everywhere you look. Thank you so much for joining me for today's explainer, and hey, keep looking for the layers!